Welcome everybody to Let's Chit Chat Wellness and Travel. I am Chandria Singleton. I am so excited to be here, and this is our brand new segment on the field of radiology. I am excited to have my first guest, Marsha Dunn. Marsha and I go way back. I didn't even remember how we met. She reminded me. I thought it was in the hospital, but it was not. We actually met through real estate and a mutual friend that was in radiology. And that's been at least 10 or 15 years. It's been a wonderful friendship. I've learned so much about mammography, and she's here to share with us about this amazing field and her experience and how you can be educated about such an important topic, near and dear to my heart, because I had my first breast lump at the age of 24. And I've been having mammos and breast ultrasounds ever since the age of 24 because of high-risk breast cancer in my family. I've even had an MRI breast. So, and I just hit my 40s. So this is something that is near and dear to my heart. And welcome, Marsha.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So Marsha has over 25 years of experience in radiology, but she does not just do mammo. She's going to talk about that and tell us more about it. So Marsha, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do?
Hey, well, thank you again for having me, Chandra. Yes, I am let's just say a radiologic technologist for life, but my specialty is in mammography. Over 25 plus years, I started out as we all do in radiology, meaning general x-ray for maybe about 2-3 years. And then my favorite modality is called special interventional. Well, I decided to start a family and I was considered high risk because I was having twins. And that pushed me into mammography, which was pretty much my bread and butter, if you don't mind me saying. I perform mammography for a good maybe 22, 23 years, and I love it. I am all about women's health. I am the first stop when it comes to educating a woman about their breast. Well, not that's when it comes to imaging. When patients come to us in the mammography room, they tell us their whole story. They won't share it with the doctor unless I nudge them a little bit. Share with the doctor is very important. But they come into the mammography room and they share, they cry, they really trust us. And mammography, my fellow mammal techs, we do a great job. It starts with us. It starts with proper imaging. I know many of you women hate the compression, but it's very important. I don't like it. Chandria don't like it. But like she said, it saved lives. We as mammographers save lives, and it continues on. It doesn't just stop as for me as a mammographer, as a mammal technologist, ultrasound, MRI, sometimes nuclear medicine, sometimes CT. All of those modalities come together.
Yeah, that is so true. Now, how long did it take you to get certified? Because I think growing up, me personally, either people in my family were teachers, nurses, and that's it. I had one uncle that was a director of a radiology department. That's the most I knew about radiology. And respiratory, I had an aunt. Her and her husband were respiratory therapists. So that's about all I knew about the radiology, about the healthcare field. And I don't think I'm the only one. Everyone just thinks of nurses and doctors.
Right.
So how long does it take you to get certified? And what is the education requirements?
No, it doesn't take long. I was a novice. I started out learning accounting. Oh, mom and dad, I want to be an accountant. And I ended up working at Winthrop University Hospital. And my uncle was selling radiology equipment. That's how I got my first introduction. And he was telling me about different positions. And I said, oh, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do because I'm always somebody who wants to learn more. I got my first job at Winthrop University Hospital in Long Island as a file room technologist, a file room tech. And they were back in the day, Chandra, remember the films, the black and white films?
Yep.
The surgeons and the doctors would come and look at these films. And I'm like, what is with these black films that have bones? So I inquired. Well, my blessing was there and I didn't even know it. Winthrop University had a radiology program school. And I applied and I got in 6 months to being hired. Anyway, you have to enter a general radiography program and you successfully go through the program for 2 years. And when you're finished with the program, you can continue on as a mammographer, CT, nuclear medicine, the modality grows and continues on, or you can go into the actual general radiography. But it's a 2-year successful program. Once you graduate, you can practice that. I did. but I wanted to do something else. And any other modality, it takes about a year. You work for several hours to accumulate your experience, and then you take a registry, the ARRT registry, and that will give you the certification to be a registered radiological technologist with the acronym of RT, and then you'll have an R, which is radiography, M, mammography, CT, computed tomography, MRI, and so forth. So it just takes maybe about 2 years for sure. And if you want to transfer in or move into another modality, another year upon your experience. So it's really up to your pace. I also want to say that I am a MTMI breast consultant. I'm very excited about that. I always wanted to work for this company, and I was blessed to actually. I am a teacher, an educator. I love doing what I do, and I wanted to do more, provide more for mammography for women, just to trust the unit, trust us techs that we're doing the right thing. We're not here to hurt you. And I was offered to be a breast consultant for breast TM for MTMI. So I'm very excited about that.
That
Yeah,
is
girl.
huge.
So I'm trying it.
That is huge because do you know, I don't know if you know this, but when I was going for my CT registry, they didn't have CT and MR schools.
Nope.
So you had to learn on the job. So I was still in school when I learned CT. You have 2 years of the program, like you said.
Right.
And the first year I went on and got all of my clinicals that were supposed to be done in 2 years. I did it in 1 year.
Uh-huh.
And that was my obstacle because I knew I did not want to push around portable machines, lifting up bodies. My body could not take that. I didn't want to go in the OR doing x-ray.
Exactly.
I didn't want to do fluoro all day. Nothing wrong with those things, but I just knew they were not long-term for me. So I buckled down that first year of school and I knocked out all those exams.
Right.
And by the time the second year came, I was able to float through every modality and see which one I liked.
Right. Yeah.
And I did that. And I realized radiation therapy was what I liked, but I didn't get in school for it.
Oh, okay.
So CT, I have been working at night as a student tech helping out CT because they were so short staffed. This is when CT was just like booming. They were cranking out the stroke protocols. You know, the hospital was learning more about strokes and the technology was speeding up. So they needed more CT tech. So I actually got a job as a student CT and x-ray tech. And that's how I went into CT. Well, I still needed to get the exams to pass the registry.
Right.
Okay, so I passed the x-ray. So I went to MTMI. They were like the only school, and they were ahead of their time on education,
Really
I believe. And I passed the registry
through them.
No
yep.
I did the same with MRI with them. And I did really well on everything they taught. The physics part, I had to wind up going to Bill Faulkner's physics course for 1 day.
Okay.
And that helped me on the physics side of it because that was that was totally different from x-ray. So it had another part of my brain that needed to be educated.
Right.
But MTMI, I took their Mammo national certification out of Vegas. I love that company. So for me to hear that you are one of their educators, that's awesome.
Full circle, yeah. I did my my MTMI CT education there as well, but I decided I didn't want to do CT. But I just got my training pretty much there, and I did my I did my mammography training there, and I did my 40 hours initial, and there it is. I now am full circle and becoming I am one of the consultants for digital breast tomosynthesis, and going. Hopefully, my future will grow into it, becoming one of their 40-hour initial class.
Congratulations. Okay, we are going to pump that up. That is going to happen. Marsha is amazing.
Yes,
she has so much experience. Did you face any obstacles? Because I want young people, I think both of us were introduced to radiology by our uncles. We have so much in common.
Isn't that coincidental?
Yeah. And we didn't even know this, y'all. As long as we've known each other, we didn't know any of this stuff. But, I tell you, it's so interesting how things are exposed to you. But there are obstacles because I went to a school where, in the field, like many other fields, it is the majority of people are not sometimes people of color. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know many people that looked like me that did it.
Right.
So, it's important for me to tell young people because I was one of those people. I love school, but I didn't want to go to school forever. I was
Right.
not interested in going to school forever. I didn't want to
Right.
do 12 years in school. I didn't want to do 8.
I'm the opposite.
Oh, see, okay, see, I was like, but I knew I wanted to make a certain amount of money because I like to
Right.
travel and I like to
Exactly.
live. So,
Exactly.
so I didn't know anyone but nurses, and I knew I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to be a bedside nurse. Now, if I would have known that they had radiology nurses, and cardiac nurses, hey, I might have went into nursing, and that's
Right.
why I believe it's all about educating people about fields and options. So please educate us. What obstacles did you face? How did you overcome them?
You know, to be honest, taking a look back when I first started, again, the predominant culture I may have been the only African American in my class, but for some reason that didn't bother me. I felt like if I want something, I'm going to do it, and I've always had that personality. My parents instilled that in me, so I don't really I didn't really come across any obstacles in pursuing what I wanted. What I faced was more challenges and patience when they see me enter the room. I
Mhm.
didn't have any challenges with my education because I knew what I wanted,
Right.
and no one's going to stop me. I had tremendous support. So nothing there. I don't believe I was hindered or I was cheated or something was taken away from me, because if it did, I maybe didn't see it because I found a way and I'm still excelling. So I don't think anything in educational that aspect was taken away from me. But what I do endure daily, to this every day, are my patients when they see me. Oh, you're doing my mammogram today. Yeah, because someone of my stature, my color may have helped them change their uniform or change their clothing into the gown, and they may think that's the same person. As I walk in and I introduce myself, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you do mammograms now." I was like, "Oh, I'm not that person, but I will be doing your mammogram today." So, I try to make light of it, but I'm not ignorant to it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's our culture. We just have to embrace it in a professional way, and sometimes we just have to maybe come down to their level just a little bit. But other than that, other than that, my message is you make the best of what you have. Don't let that circumstance take you down. And if you want to excel, you're going to find a way to do it. I am stickler for that. I instill that in my kids. My kids are, I'm so proud. Chandria know my children from babies.
Yes.
And I instill that to my children. I said, you know what you need to do. You're inspired to it, and you go all the way, and you have the support for it. So nothing should stop you unless you're ready. Nothing should stop you. Go for what you want to do. 100%.
I totally agree. I have to say I haven't really had any obstacles. Things were placed in my way to try to stumble me or slow me
Uh-huh.
down from the progress. But that's life. Like you said, that's life.
That's life. Exactly.
But when you know what you want and you know what's in front of you, and I find that when I saw the possibilities of what radiology could do for me, I could work 3 days a week. I
Right.
can do travel work. I've been
Exactly.
traveling. I could do, there are so many things you just don't even have to scan. You can go into education. You could go into applications where people buy machines and you go teach the technologists
Hmm.
because you have experience. You can own your own staffing agency.
Right.
You can own your own MRI center. You can own your own MRI scanner and lease it out to
Right.
hospital. I mean, there are so many
So many.
possibilities.
And
And,
the possibilities are there, and it's up to you to take it. I was a clinical specialist for Siemens, for two and
that's
a half
right.
years. Yeah. So again, I had one manager tell me, oh, the reason why I didn't get a job is because I didn't stay at a job for long. And I said, well, if you stay at a job for long, sometimes you miss the opportunity of new innovations, new things coming in because you're still at one place. And I said, I don't feel that that's accurate. Now, if I didn't travel, if I didn't experience with different modalities, different realms of radiology, I don't think I would be as educated and comfortable in what I'm doing now. So, you don't let anyone take away what you want. You may have to find, like you said, an obstacle, find another route, but don't
Yes.
ever let someone take your dream and your pathway. Don't let them change your way.
And my thing is always get certified in the modality, whether you
Exactly.
feel like you will use it or not.
Yes.
I never had any intention of doing mammography, but I knew the opportunity presented itself. So I took it. And I knew
Right.
MTMI was a great company to learn from. And it was amazing. Great
Yep.
experience. It
Hmm.
actually benefited me in MRI breast when I would do the MRI scans for the
Yes,
breast.
ma'am. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
totally upped my skills. I would say I was kind of lost when I used to do the breast MRIs, but once I
Yeah.
took that course with MTMI on mammography, I totally understood what I
Yeah.
needed to do and give the best care to my patients. Even though I wasn't
Yes.
doing mammography, I was
You
doing breast
understood it.
MRI. So
Yeah.
you just never know. It's always good to continue to learn to be a student. Take in the education; it will benefit you later in life. So tell us, where do you see Mammo advancing in the next few years? Because it's come a long
Oh
way.
man, it's come a long way. Right now, we're experiencing and utilizing this great phenomenon called 3D tomosynthesis. And I know Hologic and Siemens. I work with their products, and it's awesome. I mean, the imaging has come so far from film, dipping a plastic in chemicals and watching that chemical change into an image of a breast. And now I can sit at my monitor and the image pops up. It's just amazing. And then we have, I don't know if your audience know anything about tomo or tomography, how you take imaging of a breast, 1 millimeter cut, and literally they can see the breast form from skin on the top of the breast through the nipple, all the way through the breast to the bottom of the patient or the top of the patient's stomach. I
Wow.
mean, it's amazing how the breast can be formed. Um, and a lot of detection, a lot of diagnosis can come through from the tomography. So yeah, I see it building. I see. I don't know. I've heard of talk about 4D. I don't know how accurate that information is. Um, but 3D right now is the way to go. Patients, I know you hear about. Oh, it's. I heard about the 3D. It's not as uncomfortable. Pressure is pressure. The
Right.
units are the I know these companies are trying to make it better, but again, it's up to the patient, it's up to the technologist to make sure that patient understands. I say communicate with them, talk them through the process. It helps relieve some of that discomfort because some of it is psychological too.
Right.
But again, a lot of these companies are really trying to make comfort for these patients. The common joke, a man made this. Well, some women intervention came in as well. But again, the reason why we compress is we want to see what's in that breast. And kind of think of it as when you're compressing and you can't get any more, whatever's in there, it's going to say, okay, I give up. I'm right here. Here is my issue. So just like fill a balloon and bring it down and you put a rock in there, you'll feel that rock after a while. So it is uncomfortable, but I'm an advocate of every woman. Even at 30, if you feel something younger than that, it can start off with an ultrasound. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't ever be afraid of doing breast self exams. Don't ever be afraid of your breast. Know your breast at a very young age, and it can go from there. So
That's what I was gonna
mammography is
say.
on the rise, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Marsha. I think I talked to a lot of women, they've never done breast exams at home. They just put their bra on and they go. But it's like you should be looking at you should know your breast just like you know before you put your makeup
Your
on.
face,
I know
yep.
people that can
Hmm.
contour their face in 5 minutes.
Right,
They know their face like the back of their hand, but when it comes to our breast as women, we don't know when one side is loopy, one side is not. When one side is not,
exactly.
it's not. I personally don't go get mammos if around a time where my breasts are more tender. I'm just not going to do that to myself.
Right. But
So,
sometimes you don't know because when you have to schedule your mammogram, it's maybe 6 months or a year, but then you never know, your body may change and then your cycle's here. You can always cancel or reschedule. But sometimes you just don't know. I'm like, oh, let me just get through it. But again, it also comes down to the technologist.
yeah,
Proper education, proper patient care. Your mammogram should not be as shouldn't be as terrifying where you should never come back.
yeah. My
It's
two that
a
I've had, they did not hurt at all. They weren't comfortable, like I could just go to sleep and get them
right.
done. But they,
Right.
it wasn't bad. And I'll say, I was more fearful of, the radiation to the breast tissue. But talking to trusted people like yourself and another young lady that,
Low
knows her
dose.
mammography, I really felt more comfortable about getting the radiation to such a susceptible area, on a
Right.
routine basis, a yearly basis. So, I
Right.
appreciate people stopping and pausing and explaining to me, not making me
Hmm.
feel like, oh, you should know better as a technologist, radiation. Yeah, but I'm still
Right.
human.
Right.
And I look at all the women in my family who have died from breast cancer before
Right.
technology got, and the ones who died after getting treatment,
Hmm.
because
Right.
not of the cancer, but because they got, their bodies just got beat down over the years
Right.
of the treatment.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
that all those things are fearful. If I feel that way, I know other people do. Just because I'm in a field doesn't mean that my fears are alleviated.
Exactly.
So I
And one of the
appreciate that.
concerns is radiation. A lot of women, especially younger women who are trying to have children or of that stage in their life where, I'm just very concerned of how much exposure. And I share with them with the other modalities that they have had. And I've asked them, I said, well, have you had a chest x-ray? Have you had a CT? And then they'll tell me yes. And I said, well, mammography is one of the lowest dose of radiation that you can get. And again, you're only here once a year. Sometimes you may have a chest x-ray twice a year. CT, there's so much radiation to the body at one time. So they kind of get it. And then I say, if you garden or you go to the bus stop, you're getting a lot of radiation, more radiation than you're thinking. Yeah. So,
Or fly. I mean,
yes, ma'am.
hey,
So
a
you
flight from here
kind
to
of have to,
LA.
it's a lot. So I would
Yeah.
try to put it in layman's terms or kind of in a perspective that they can get it. And they're like, oh, makes sense. Not that they're ready to go get in the Mammo machine and get compressed, but they understand it better.
You guys, this is why she's been doing this so long, and she's an educator for one of the top schools for radiology modalities. So, to end it off, Marsha, what advice would you give women, young men who want to look into the medical field, but maybe not want to go for long periods of time or be a nurse or, something else? How would you explain to them about the radiology field?
Radiology is a great stepping stone, and it could be a career path as well. It's a 2-year program versus a 4-year program if you want to become a medical doctor. But we're really trying to. Well, in the past, I was trying to get into my high school and get uh, radiology exposure, where students don't have to just do nursing or doctor or become a lawyer. There's so much more. But now with the millennials and now younger generations, they're seeing that. So it's just about educating. It's about getting into the schools to these counselors to let them know that only there's more interest than doctors and nurses and lawyers when it comes to the medical field. Radiology is one. It's a 2-year program. If you're really not sure or you are sure, it's a great stepping stone and it's a pathway to something greater like Chandra and I are doing, and I know we're growing to be more than what we are now. So I just tell my kids if they're interested, but they're also want to be in the medical field, but on a different aspect. One is want to be a dentist and want to be a physical therapist. So
Oh,
I
nice.
think that exposure of my life, we have tons of nurses, tons of doctors in our family. The exposure is what they need.
Yes.
Exposure. All the exposure is key.
And options.
Very
I just believe
education and
everybody should have
options.
options of what they want to do. It's not just one path in a medical field. And if you don't
Exactly.
do that path, you're a nobody. You're ignored. Everybody plays a role, and everybody's job is important to the patient. And
Yeah.
patients should know because most people think you're a nurse. I get that all
Right.
the time. I'm like, no, I'm not a
I'm not a
nurse.
nurse. And I'm not a technician. I'm a technologist.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah, we have to talk
Yes.
about that
Yes.
another time. I think I'm going to do a panel because I did a TikTok on that and that thing went crazy. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it is so funny to me. But yeah, I'm going to do a panel. That's going to be a nice panel
Yeah. Well, let me
discussion.
put me on that panel. I'll definitely
You
be
definitely are
happy
on
to
that
discuss
panel.
that one.
Well, this has been such a good conversation. And I would love for you to touch on just where are you working now? You're doing something that is a hot topic today.
Yes, yes, yes. I have been in mammography for so long and I've been in the traditional hospital setting, but I left that behind because I am a empty nester and I decided to jump into that traveling world. It's not only travel nursing. We have traveling medical imaging. So I am a travel mammo tech right now and I am an assignment in New York and I love it. My base is in Atlanta. I'm not leaving Atlanta. Put for all my peoples out there, but I have the opportunity to enjoy another facility. And I find it very interesting because I like to learn and I just learn different ways. I know mammography, so I don't need to be taught that, but I learn the different units that they have on their property. And I love the technologists. I love different management. So I'm just learning and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. And the pay is absolutely beautiful.
Right. I was gonna say,
Pay
yes,
is on a higher scale,
you deserve
But
it. You
again,
deserve it.
yes, look into it, before you make that decision because there are some changes. Again, organizations give you more protection with insurance and security and that nature, but don't let only be your hindrance. You're making the money so you can make a decision for yourself. You can work for yourself when it comes to that. So yeah,
That's a whole nother
travel. Yeah,
girl,
and I
that's
want
a
to be on
whole
that
nother
panel
panel
too.
topic because I just had this conversation with a young lady. I trained her in MRI and we became friends through that. And she's killing herself at a hospital. And she was like, they gave me the lead position. They gave you a lot of headache. That's what they gave you.
Girl,
And
headache.
but she's like, well, I said, well, if you take this travel job, I had a travel job that I wanted to offer her for 6 months. She would have made more than what she would have made in a year at that one job in those
Honey,
6 months
say it
without the
exactly.
headache and
Uh-huh.
working crazy hours and working every day of the week. And she could not bring her mind to understand. She's like, well, who's going to give me insurance? You get your own insurance.
And so you're making the money. Get your own
And you
insurance.
get to write off all your
Oh,
insurance that you're paying. Right now, they take it $200-300 out of your check, and you can't write none of it off.
nothing else. Nothing.
I mean, that's a whole other conversation.
There's so many benefits, so many benefits. And it took me a while because I was hesitant. I was very hesitant. But my friend, I'm gonna have to call her out. Janet Richardson. Janet Richardson, thank you, sister. I appreciate you.
Well, we need to have Jan on here in that
Yes,
panel.
and
We do
she's a
that
fellow
together.
mammographer. So yeah, she'll
Oh,
be out
okay,
here.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because so many people, I think we shortchange ourselves, but oh, this is just a whole nother conversation. But I
Yeah.
think we are so talented and we have so many years under our sleeve and so much experience. When I go out and tell people I know every MRI machine, I have scanned on every MRI machine, even ones that don't exist anymore, 0.25s.
Wow.
If you know the modality, you know the modality. It doesn't matter
Right.
the machine. And I tell
Right.
people that all the time. I don't care what machine you put in front of somebody that knows what they're doing.
Knows exactly.
They will
Exactly.
figure it out. I've
It's
gone on
funny.
travel
I'm
jobs where I was told there was one scanner and I walk in and it's a whole nother scanner and I'm by myself.
It's funny. I know you're about to close off with this current position. I'm at NYU, and they're training me. And mind you, I think I have more experience than a lot of the girls there. So they're showing me, and I said, I'm not new to mammography. Promise you, I know it. And then they step back and just like, oh, now I'm showing them how to position and doing this. I said, see, I'm just learning your NYU way. I'm not new to Mammo. So
Right.
once you know the machine, you know what you're doing. That's it.
There's no need to be fearful about traveling if you know what you're
Exactly.
doing. Because we are
Exactly.
not button pushers. We understand.
Exactly.
You can put, I
Everything
think you have to be able to think beyond the
outside
book
of the box. Exactly. Yes, you
and
do.
out of the box to be able, and we, with our experience, we have seen so much
Right.
that I can figure out how to do it I've scanned on some of the crappiest machines and
Hmm.
still come out with some beautiful images.
That's right.
And the
It's a
patient's
matter.
like, oh,
Yeah. I tell you, radiologists really look to us for a lot of assistings.
yeah.
A lot of
Especially
us
they respect ones that know
know what they're
what they're
doing.
doing. I had a
Exactly.
doctor the other day, he ordered something. I said, well, that's kind of, we don't do that anymore with the new type
Right.
of scanners we have. And he was like, oh, really? Well, just do whatever you think is
Right.
best. I'm like,
Just
okay.
do what you think is best for the patient. Okay,
Right.
thanks.
I'm like, okay, I just wanted to let you know we don't do that anymore. That he's like, well, I just need it in Corona. Okay, no
Okay.
problem.
Right. You speaking
This
my
is why
language.
you do it in that kind of Corona. But if you're not doing that, he was like, oh, I didn't know. And doctors respect that you
Yep.
understand and know what you're doing. And if you approach them in the right way, that hey, if you wanted me to do it like this, I will. But let me
Right.
tell you an easier way for the patient and a better way for you to get what you need.
Exactly. Yep.
So I've
Communication is
enjoyed
key.
this.
Thank you. So did I.
Yeah, we're going to do this again, and you enjoy your travel assignment and continue to prosper. And we're going to talk about some more things so we can continue
Yes.
to climb
I
together.
look I look forward to it. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This was so
Thank
much
you,
fun.
you guys. And Marsha, tell everybody, I know we're going to put it at the bottom of the screen, but tell everybody what social media platforms they can find you on if you have any radiology groups that you're doing so they can learn more about mammography.
I'm on LinkedIn, Marsha M. Dunn. I have Instagram. I am also a travel agent, so traveling done right. I also am on Facebook. I have a Facebook travel page, and I'm going to create a group for mammography done right. to help proper information to go out to our women. There's so many women that wants to talk about their experience. So I'm just trying to get that foundation built so we can all come back and talk and share our experiences. Mammographers, ultrasound, and patient, MRI, CT, we can all come together. Chandria may just be on my page one day. Who knows?
Hey, I look forward to it. Thank you. You guys go follow Marsha, learn more about mammography. She knows what she's doing and she's amazing at sharing all of her valuable information. So let's continue to support one
Thank
another
you
and
so
learn
much.
more about this amazing field of study, radiology. Thank you for subscribing and following Let's Chit Chat Wellness and Travel. This is our radiology segment, and be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and have a great day, everyone.
Take care. Bye bye.